morning. This is World News coming to you live from Warsaw. I'm Saria Strzemska. The passing of Pope Francis has initiated a mourning period in the Vatican and marks the beginning of an ancient tradition to select a new pontiff. The leader of the Roman Catholic Church died Monday morning at his residence in the Vatican's Casa Santa Marta at the age of 88. News of the Pope's passing came unexpectedly as he was present at Easter celebrations over the weekend. Just one day before his death, Pope Francis dedicated his Easter message and annual Urbi et Orbi blessing to world peace, global disarmament and the release of prisoners in Gaza. However, Francis's health was evidently in severe decline. He was hospitalized for 5 weeks from February 14 for double pneumonia, which became the most serious health crisis of his 12-year papacy. The Holy See this evening released the death certificate detailing the cause of death of Pope Francis, who passed away in his Vatican apartment at 7:35 a.m. in Rome on April 21st, the day after Easter. The document says that after an examination, the Vatican physician determined the Pope died from a stroke, resulting in irreversible cardiovascular collapse. Pope Francis' spiritual testament, dated June 29, 2022, has been published, giving indications for his burial in the Basilica of St. Mary Major. Pope Francis will be remembered as a humble servant, a tireless advocate for immigrants and the impoverished, and a passionate voice for those in need. His calls for social justice, critique of capitalism, and urgent pleas for climate action showcased his commitment to creating a better world, not only for the Catholics. Here's a report on the extraordinary 12 years of his pontificate.
From the moment he became Pope in 2013, Pope Francis's pontificate has been shaped by a clear and enduring message: peace.
May the sound of arms be silenced in war-torn Ukraine. May there be the boldness needed to open the door to negotiation and to gestures of dialogue and meeting in order to achieve a just and lasting peace. May the sound of arms be silenced in the Middle East.
One of his most symbolic gestures and a particularly striking moment of his pontificate was in April 2019, when he knelt to kiss the feet of South Sudanese leaders at the head of a country grappling with a horrific civil war.
I think that today in the world, this is the greatest plague, the sale of weapons.
Francis left a global mark with his message of peace, but also interreligious dialogue, most powerfully embodied by his historic 2021 visit to war-torn Iraq. This was the first ever papal visit to the country, where he held a symbolic meeting with Grand Ayatollah Ali al-Sistani, the spiritual leader of millions of Shia Muslims.
Iraq will always remain with me in my heart. I ask all of you, dear brothers and sisters, to work together in unity for a future of peace and prosperity.
Through various channels and rhetorics, Francis upheld the notion of mercy for one another.
People with homosexual tendencies are children of God.
He was a man who cared about the renewal of the Catholic Church. He cared about emphasizing mercy, which other popes also taught, but he seemed to have a special focus on this topic. He focused on the matter of the sick and the poor.
Despite stirring controversy, the Pope encouraged pastoral workers to welcome those who cohabit without marriage, as well as divorced and remarried individuals. And he sounded a global call to protect the planet.
Christian brothers and sisters, in the commitment to care for creation as a sacred gift of the Creator, let us stand with the victims of environmental and climate injustice.
During his 12 years, the pontiff made 47 trips outside of Italy, visiting more than 65 states and territories, clocking up more than 465,000 kilometers, and was prepared to travel more if his health had allowed it.
On the second day of the war, I went to the Russian embassy and said I was ready to go to Moscow to see Putin.
The pontiff kept working until the end. On Palm Sunday, he met U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. In his final Easter Urbi et Orbi, his annual global blessing, delivered just a day before his death, the Pope once again urged world leaders to lay down their arms and return to dialogue, thus concluding his pontificate of peace for peace. Reporting for TVP World, I'm Aisha Badja.
He was a man who cared deeply about the renewal of the Catholic Church, said Polish Archbishop Stanisław Gondecki, reflecting on the passing of Pope Francis. He spoke about what the pontiff meant to the Catholic community and highlighted the core values that defined his papacy.
He was a man who cared about the renewal of the Catholic Church. He cared about emphasizing mercy, which other popes also taught, but he seemed to have a special focus on this topic. He focused on the matter of the sick and the poor. We are praying for him, we beg for him to have merciful peace, and at the same time we look into the future, to the next pope, who will have to carry the same burden, accepting and holding on to the difficulties and circumstances that nowadays usually occur in cycles.
In the wake of Pope Francis's passing, the Vatican now enters a significant transitional phase known as sede vacante, meaning while the seat is vacant. For the next few weeks, the governance of the Catholic Church will be overseen by the College of Cardinals as they prepare for the monumental task of selecting a new pontiff.
The Pope's passing is a significant moment not only for the millions of faithful across the globe. It also comes with many consequences and responsibilities for the Catholic Church itself.
We expected Pope Francis to join the House of the Holy Father for some time now. Of course, it always comes as a big blow. Still, we're not afraid. There has always been continuity in the Catholic Church.
What happens after the Pope passes is laid out in a strict and precise set of rules, worked out over centuries. Firstly, the papal apartments are sealed and the Pope's ring is broken as a way to prevent any changes to his final will and to mark the end of his reign. The Church will then spend the next 9 days in mourning. It is also during that time that the Pope will be buried. Papal funerals usually gather tens of thousands of faithful from all over the globe, and this time is unlikely to be any different. 2 to 3 weeks after the funeral, the cardinals will gather to elect a new leader of the Catholic Church.
The conclave is when the cardinals come to Rome to elect a new pope. There are about 140 under the age of 80 who will enter into the Sistine Chapel to vote who should be the new pope. Each day they will have several ballots. They will decide who they want to be pope. At the end of each ballot, they will burn their ballots, and you can see the smoke from above Sistine Chapel.
The famous smoke from a special chimney installed on the roof of the Sistine Chapel has to be white to signify the cardinals agreeing on the new pope. If it's black, it means the vote was inconclusive and they have to deliberate again. Before the conclave gathers in May, it is the College of Cardinals which oversees the Catholic Church, although typically no major decisions are made in that time. A major change requested by Pope Francis before he passed regarding his funeral is that he will not be laid to rest in St. Peter's Basilica, a traditional resting place for most popes. Instead, he opted for the St. Mary Major Basilica across town, signifying his close connection to the Virgin Mary. For TVP World, I'm Kazimierz Łysiak.
We'll of course keep you updated on the latest from the Vatican. For now, however, let's move on to other news, starting with Ukraine. Russia launched a large-scale drone strike on the Ukrainian port city of Odesa late last night, wounding at least 3 people. The attack targeted a residential building in a densely populated area. Odesa mayor confirmed the reports, and regional governors said that the wounded are receiving medical treatment. The strike on Odesa came as Ukraine awaits a response from Moscow to its proposed ban on long-range strikes against civilian infrastructure. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who first proposed the partial ceasefire on April 20th, called for a 30-day halt to any attacks on civilian sites using long-range drones and missiles, with the possibility of extension. While Russia's President Vladimir Putin expressed openness to peace initiatives, he has yet to act on the proposal. There have been even more Russian strikes, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said in his address to the nation on Monday evening. He noted that after a pause in hostilities during Easter, the assaults resumed on Monday with renewed vigor.
Indeed, on Easter there were no air raid alarms, and some areas of the front saw silence, so it is possible when Russia decides to reduce the killing. But even on this Easter there were Russian assault operations, strikes and shelling, and there were casualties, including civilian losses. Today there have been even more Russian strikes. By midday today, at 1 p.m, there had been nearly 3,000 shellings, assaults and other attacks. Russian missiles, Shahed drones, almost 90 bombs and heavy weaponry were used. Russian attacks continue along the entire front.
And now on a domestic note, since Sunday, a fire has been raging in the Biebrzα National Park in the Podlasie region in Poland. The fire is no longer spreading, but it has been contained and has already engulfed over 4.5 square kilometers of the park. Prime Minister Donald Tusk visited the site on Monday and met with the emergency services battling to control the blaze. The Biebrzα National Park is the largest Polish national park and home to many rare species of birds.
A devastating fire continues to spread through the Biebrzα National Park in eastern Poland, engulfing 450 hectares of invaluable reed beds and wetlands. The blaze, which erupted on Sunday, prompted a large-scale firefighting operation in extreme conditions.
Anyone who knows these areas even a little knows what the Biebrzα National Park is, one of the oldest and largest in Poland. Where there is a need to ban entry to the forest due to the risk of fire, please respect it. One moment of inattention and drama proceeds, then a forest burns quickly. Furthermore, you have to wait dozens of years and sometimes hundreds of years for something as unique as this forest to become a reality again.
The firefighting team includes 300 firefighters, soldiers from the Territorial Defense Forces, and Forest and Park Services. The operation is being supported from the air by 5 helicopters, including a police Black Hawk, and a firefighting plane and drones.
There is also a Bayraktar drone, which recently appeared in our sky at an altitude of over 5,000 meters and will carry out surveillance missions. We will be able to observe the development of the smoke and the fire line.
The situation is complicated by the extreme weather conditions, with the ongoing drought and dried-out reed beds turning the park into a highly flammable trap. This is not the first time Biebrzα National Park has faced such a destructive fire, but the ongoing battle with the flames is one of the most challenging yet. Alex Simlinski, TVP World.
And with this, we conclude this news bulletin. Thank you for watching. World Talks coming up next.